Hey everybody, hope you all are doing well and welcome back to Michael's Matters. And of course, as per usual, as is our custom, I am Michael. And today we are finally into the tax crunch time that is marked by the starting line of the President's Days. And we are more than a toe into it at this point. And that's good news for all of us who are wait to the last moment types of folks to file, because it means we still kind of got about a month left to go. But already we are seeing some interesting trends for tax returns, primarily on average that they are getting smaller. But luckily more of them are on time. But there are still a few big groups of folks who have had to wait some extra time to get their tax returns, but also some choosing to wait, hoping to get bigger tax returns because of some, tax legislation that may or may not have come true by the time that you are watching this. So today we are going to be talking about this year's tax returns, why they are seeming to come out smaller on average, and why returns may come out later as well, and why some folks are choosing to wait and hoping to get bigger ones. Now, before we get to it, if you like these videos, if you find them interesting, if you find them helpful, or hey, if you at least find them useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because it does really help the channel to grow, and we are so thankful for that, so thank you. But also because it means you get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. All right, now, let's get down to the video. So let's start off today with a slight round of applause, yay, for the IRS, because, so far there doesn't appear to be any large spread system crashes in the IRS processing of tax, and there are no government office cafeterias piling up with millions of tax returns like there was last year. Of course, there are a lot of really good reasons for this. First is that the IRS is back up to semi-operating, normal operating speed after, basically hot air balloons filled with federal support money has been dropped on the agency necessarily. And also probably the bigger culprit for the smoother things going around here is that fewer people are just submitting tax returns, as is in the previous couple years. Folks who didn't normally have to file taxes were encouraged to do so to get access to additional credits, child tax credits, as well as those sweet stimulus checks. So that is all gone, which means that the number of people who are filing has dropped precipitously. And in fact, according to the IRS, they have received about 19.1% less tax returns this year than last year at this point. But they are still a bit behind in comparison to last year, as there are only 2.6 million tax returns completed as of the beginning of February, where last year they were at 8 million. So it doesn't seem fair, though, to compare the tax seasons, because this tax season did start later on the 29th of January, whereas in last year it was at 23, so that's a difference of 7 days. So it might just be an issue of time, but I don't know about that. For the full tax season, they anticipate around 128.7 million individual tax returns that are going to get done this year. So whichever one they're at, whether they're at the 2.6 or the 8, they still got a long way to go. Now, one of the biggest things that are noticeable changes from last year is the amount of tax returns that the average American is getting, which dropped from $1,963 to $1,395, which is a 28.9% drop in their tax refund. This refund drop is slightly less for those folks who got refunds via direct deposit, moving down only 25% from $2,056 on average in 2023 to $1,543 in 2024. So I guess, why are so many folks seeing tax returns that are between 29 and 5% lower? Well, there's a couple of big reasons, most of which has to do with tax credits, but not all of it. For non-tax credit related changes, there's really a lot of people who may have made more money this year, that is 2023, tax year 2023, here in 2024, but they made more money than they anticipated and didn't update their tax withholdings, meaning that they got to keep more of their money up front, but get less back on the back end. Another big one is gig workers, especially first-time gig workers who are technically self-employed and may not be used to having to set aside some of their revenues as income for taxes, but have it end up being taken out when they file their taxes of their tax refund, or having to pay even more in. Now, talking about tax credits overall for 2024, there have been some pretty substantial cutbacks of tax credits that folks got last year, with the pandemic era tax benefits being really fully phased out by 2023 tax year. Of course, that being said, there is still some hope that for some of those gains from tax credits that had been had previous years to be gotten back, even though they are not there now, because there's pending tax legislation that, if it actually does pass before tax season, could put some more credits or some more cash or even some more coins, some more smiles back into the pockets of tax filers. Now, under the current pending $78 billion tax package called the Tax Relief for American Families and Workers Act of 2024, that includes a temporary boost to the child tax credit for 2023. That is the tax year we are in right now, just in case I hadn't mentioned that before. And it would be retroactive. The way it would do this is it would make changes to the current law that would apply to refundable tax credits on a per-child basis for the tax years 2023, 2024, and 2025. And it would modify the overall limit on the refundable child tax credit, bring it up to $1,800 for 2023, $1,900 for 2024, and if you're following the pattern, $2,000 for 2025. And it would furthermore add an inflation adjustment so that those benefits actually might go up a little bit more if there is increased inflation, even though it looks like, you know, the verdict is still out as where inflation is going to go by the time we get to those tax seasons. But of course, I am not a tax person, and this is not a tax advice in any way, shape, or form. But, you know, I'm sure not going to wait and to see if these the legislation passes before I file my taxes. So just saying. And then lastly for today, for those early bird tax filers, or really any tax filers who are planning on getting things like the child tax credits back, it actually might be one of the core reasons why, even if someone did submit their taxes very early on, they're still kind of stuck waiting longer than many other folks to get those returns back. The primary reason is that the IRS did not even begin processing these types of taxes that included certain tax credits, like the child tax credit, until a later date. But the IRS does say that if someone has direct deposit, and the caveat is that they have no other issues with their tax returns, they should have started getting their tax returns as early as February 27th, with things like the tax credit, the earned income tax credits included on there. The reason they do this, at least according to them, is to allow them some extra time to verify that all the information is correct and ensure the right amount of money is getting to the right person and right sent out at the right time. So overall, look, it's kind of nice to see things at the IRS getting back to the status quo, maybe even perhaps just a little bit better than where they were pre-pandemic. We'll still have to see by the time we get to the end of the tax season. But one thing is for sure, actually, you know what? Scratch that. Two things are for sure. First is that you gotta pay your taxes, but also it seems like the taxes this year are going to be smaller than they were previously. Even if the tax legislation does pass, they're still going to end up probably being smaller. And then lastly, if you think that you need help filing your taxes, there is free help through the VITA tax folks, VITA, who are usually at senior centers, community centers, schools. They set up and provide free tax in-person filing for those folks who make less than $68,000 a year. And they got trained volunteers who can help you get your taxes done in person. So I would, encourage you to check those out if you need a little bit of extra help and you don't want to use the online, or don't feel comfortable using the internet or those kinds of things. It's a great service as well. All right, so that's it for today's videos for Michael's Mattered. And I really hope that you enjoy this video, or at least found it interesting, or maybe found it helpful, or hey, even found it useful. And if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because it does really help the channel grow, and we are so thankful for that. But also because it means you get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. So for Michael's Matters, I'm Michael, hoping that you take care of yourself, take care of others, and have a happy, healthy